Well, welcome everyone to the combined Utah Recreational Trails Program Grant Advisory Council meeting this evening. Our chair, Mike McCandless, I do not see him on. So at this time, what I'm going to do is turn that time over to our vice chair, Ron Tolman, to conduct the meeting until Mike is able to join us. Is that reasonable with you, Ron?
Yeah, I can do that. I don't mind. You can hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
Okay, great. Well, welcome to the Utah Division of Parks and Recreation Combined Advisory Council meeting. Let's go ahead and go around and introduce everybody that is on this call. I don't know if I can see everybody. So I'll go ahead and introduce myself, and then Becky, maybe you could call out the names of people you see who are online and let them introduce themselves so we don't all try to do it at once. I'm Ron Tolman. I am on the Motorized OHV Advisory Council. I represent the full-size four-wheel drive vehicles enthusiast groups, and I am the council chair for the Motorized Council.
All right, I'm Becky Steinfels, and I am the secretary of the advisory councils and I'm with Utah State Parks and Rec. All right, why don't we go with Scott? Can't hear you, Scott. All right, until he gets going, let's go with Beverly.
Hi, I'm Beverly Heffernan. I'm on the Non-Motorized Committee and I represent the equestrian interests. I'm retired from federal government service.
All right, let's go with Brody.
Brody Johnson, ATV representative.
All right, Cheryl.
Cheryl Butler. I'm the Forest Service rep for both the motorized and non-motorized councils.
Evan.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Evan Glenn. I represent the Bureau of Land Management. Nice to see y'all.
Jason.
I'm Jason Blankenagel with the OHV Advisory Committee, member at large.
Sarah. All right. Tyson, let's go through.
Tyson Todd on the Motorized Council with the Trust Lands Administration.
Okay, go ahead, Sarah.
Sarah Bennett. I'm vice chair of Non-Motorized Trail Committee. I'm the hiking representative, and I'm executive director of Trails Utah.
Scott, did you figure out your microphone?
Does the microphone work now?
Yes.
Oh, good deal. It's just a little bit tech short here, but my name's Scott Wheeler. I represent the motorcycle interest on the off-road highway vehicle council.
And I believe that's everybody. If I've missed somebody, speak up. Oh, who's on the phone?
This is Tommy George.
Hey,
I'm
Tommy.
the member at large on the Motorized Committee.
And then I'll just do my introduction. I'm Chris Haller. I'm with the Utah Division of Parks and Recreation. I'm the Off-Highway Vehicle Program Coordinator. And then for this meeting, I'm also the Recreational Trails Program Grant Administrator.
Great, thank you, and welcome. I think we got everybody I can see anyway. Becky, if you'll keep an eye on that and let us know if somebody else pops in, I would appreciate that heads up. Do we have a quorum sufficient to take any of our action items?
Yes, sir, we do.
Okay, great. All right, well, the first item, before we get started, Chris, do you have any words of wisdom for us or anything you want to share before we get into our business?
Yeah, I would, and thank you. I just want to say thanks to each of the advisory council members, both that are present this evening and those that have participated in the last two meetings. Just as a summary, we received 32 grant applications, mixed between motorized and non-motorized, and this is part of that process of recommending those projects to be awarded in FY21 through the Federal Highway Administration funding, the Recreational Trails Program grant. And so before you this evening, there's 30 of the 32 applications that would be recommended for funding. And so just want to express our gratitude and our thank you. Obviously, each of you are volunteers at this. And with the exception of the agency representatives, I'm sure that they're being compensated appropriately through those agency channels. And so just want to say thanks and done an outstanding job in making those recommendations or proposed recommendations that'll be discussed later this evening. So thank you again.
All right, thank you, Chris. First item on our agenda is approval of the June 11, 2020 combined council meeting minutes. I presume that everybody was able to receive those and able to review them, and I would accept a motion to approve those minutes if there's not any discussion or revisions.
I would like to say that we approve it. This is Brody.
This is Beverly. I'll second that motion.
Okay, is there any discussion before we vote? All right, all those in favor? Aye.
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 Chair, for point of order, we would need to probably have each person indicate their name along with a
Okay.
yay or a nay. So what we'll probably do is have Becky read off the participants and
Thank
then
you.
go from that point.
Okay, let's do that. Becky, would you do that, please?
Ron,
Aye.
Tyson,
Aye.
Brody,
Aye.
Jason,
I'm going to recuse myself. I wasn't present and I didn't receive minutes.
that's right. Scott,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes?
Tommy,
Aye.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Evan.
I don't vote.
Oh, sorry. Is that everybody? Yeah, that's everybody. Can anybody that's not muted mute yourselves?
Did you say something to me?
No, Scott, we're good. Just the lights went down and obviously you came to our mind right away as soon as the lights went out in Georgia. So with that, want to turn the time over. Mike McCandless has joined us and Ron, want to thank you. So we'd like to turn that time over to Mike. Mike, would you go ahead and introduce yourself for one, and then second, we just a motion was made and seconded and approved the June 11th, 2020 meeting minutes. So Mike, I'll turn the time over to you as the chairman of our meeting. Apparently, we were just teasing. So, Ron, you go ahead and take, for whatever reason, Mike's not joining us. I don't know if there's a technical glitch or not. So, nope, there he is.
He's there, but he's muted.
Try it again. I'll try it again. It keeps going on and off. It's Mike McCandless, representative of the non-motorized group. I've been chairman here for the last couple of years, and I represent the Nordic, but once again, appreciate everybody giving me just a couple minutes to get off work here. Thank you for taking on those first agenda items, and once again, welcome to everybody for participating in the meeting today. I think, Chris, you said you did the first one, which was the meeting minutes. Is that correct?
That is correct. And I also want to let you know that Fred Christensen has also joined us if you wanted to do the introduction for Fred.
Fred, you want to go ahead really quickly and introduce yourself? We got Fred there.
He's on, but he's muted.
That's a constant problem for some of us.
It'll be nice when we don't have to say that magic word anymore and we're live and in person and no longer have to say mute.
You there, Fred?
Yeah, can you hear me?
There we go.
I had to push some buttons.
You want to quickly introduce yourself? This is Mike McCandless, the chair today, but would you go ahead and introduce yourself briefly, Fred?
I'm Fred Christensen. I don't know what I can tell you of Annabelle, Utah. I'm married. I've had 5 kids, and I'm part of the Paiute Trail, and I'm an ATV instructor. And I just been on the advisory council once before, but it's been many years with Fred Hayes. So don't know what else to tell you.
Well, thank you, Fred. Just appreciate you taking just a second to do that. And once again, thanks to everybody for your participation. Let's move to the next item, if that's all right, Chris, and move to the approval of the equipment and volunteer cost list. I believe that's the next item.
That is correct, and that was emailed to the advisory council members today. I apologize, I was unable to get that completed prior to this morning. The only large significant change that took place from the 2019 to the 2021 updated version is the volunteer hourly posted rate for volunteers, which is now at $28.54 per hour. This would go into effect beginning July 1st of 2021 on any closeouts or questions associated as we move forward with the recreational trails program. In addition to that, we also included the updated private vehicle mileage that went from 36 cents to 38 cents. And then lastly, we included per diem for meals, which there is a breakdown on the last page of breakfast for 11, lunch at 14, and dinner at $20, just as a standard to utilize as a reference in case agencies or nonprofit groups do not have that. So those are the abbreviated updates with the equipment cost list.
Great. Are there any other questions that members have of this of the schedule that's been presented for Chris or otherwise?
This is Brody. I have a question.
Go ahead.
Okay. I've brought this up before in our other meeting, but I would like to see volunteer hours for people that are certified trail hosts to be increased beyond that as an incentive to get people to become volunteer hosts or trail hosts and to utilize their services.
And that is something, Brody, that we'll definitely take under advisement. We do the shortness of time and trying to get this RTP turned around. Probably more than likely, you'll see that change associated in the state OHV grants. And that change would take place with that equipment cost list. So we're basically working off of 2 separate equipment cost lists. When that is identified, we'll incorporate that into the 2022 updated equipment cost list for RTP. And I hope that answers your question.
Thank you, Brody. Does anyone have any other questions? This is fairly straightforward. This is one of our annual responsibilities. It really hasn't changed much over the years, but it is an important part of our steps we have to take every year. If there's nothing else, I would accept a motion to approve the proposed list as presented. Please give us your name. Please give your name when you make the motion and second it, please.
This is Tommy George, and I'll make a motion to approve that.
Thanks, Tommy.
This is Scott Wheeler, and I'll second that motion.
Thanks, Scott. I have a motion and a second. Those are on the record. In terms of how we want to do approvals, Chris, are we also doing a roll call vote for these motions as well?
Yes, sir, we are. What we'll do is we'll have Becky read off the participant's name, and then they'll indicate a yay or a nay.
All right. So I think that'd be appropriate now, Becky, if you'll read those names.
Mike,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Tyson,
Yes.
Brody,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
Tommy.
Yes.
Well, I appreciate that. I don't think we have there are no nays that have been presented, it sounds like. So I would say that that is a motion that has passed. Once again, thank you for helping us out with that. Any other issues relating to that schedule, Chris?
No, Mr. Chair, just did want to acknowledge that Evan Glenn did not participate in the vote as accordingly to his agency. And then because of Jason and Fred, with them just being new to the OHV Advisory Council, we didn't ask them to vote on it just because of the information that wasn't readily available to them.
Right, thank you. So I think it's appropriate then to move into the review of the motorized and non-motorized grant recommendations from each of the groups. I don't necessarily have a preference of how we present, other than it probably, I guess, would make sense to start with the motorized. If there's a discussion there, they actually were a little faster than the non-motorized, and there's complete. I think they were about a week ahead of us. So I'll turn it over to you, Chris, if you want to handle that differently.
No, I think that works. I just want to commend the OHV Advisory Council. They had a great meeting and discussed the applications presented in front of them. They had a little bit of a unique situation compared to the non-motorized. There was more funding available than they actually had applications. And so they were able to go back and suggest and reach out to some of those shovel-ready projects for an increase of funding. And out of those, I believe 6 or 7 of the applications were provided additional funding. And so that was pretty much the summary of the motorized recommendations as presented from the council. And 10 of those applications were motorized out of the 32.
And Chris, I'll just mention as well, they had the 2 applications that they made a decision to push over to the non-motorized, and we reviewed. So they were originally submitted to the motorized, but after their review, they forwarded on to the other side.
That is correct. Yes, sir.
So Rachel sent out earlier today, those of you who've had a chance to look, she put a really good summary on these projects, had the spreadsheet as well as the summaries. So in addition to what Chris has just said, are there any questions or concerns on the motorized, primarily any questions that people have on that proposed list? If not, let's talk about the non-motorized.
Yeah, and so once again, want to give kudos and thank you to those non-motorized advisory council members. They spent a good 7-8 hours in their review of the 22 applications that were received on the non-motorized side. They did an outstanding job, and based in front of what's provided in front of us this evening, they identified 18 of those 20 applications in order to be funded. Actually, I hope I got my numbers right. Let me back up and yeah, they actually recommended 22 that should be funded, and so out of that there were 2 applications that were not suggested to be recommended to be funding. They did because they are empowered, as both councils are. They were empowered and went in and did something very, very, I think, uh, awesome in the sense of they looked at some applications and reduced those in order to try to fund the 22 applications. So like I said, coming back to that, out of the 32 applications Utah received this year, 30 of them were funded, and that goes hats off to each of you as advisory council members. So in a nutshell, that's just a summary of the non-motorized applications that were reviewed and received.
Well, I will say from my perspective, it was nice to have a year where we weren't rejecting 20 or 30 applicants, where we were doing, everything we could to get as much money into people's hands without frankly breaking a lot of hearts. So it was actually a little kind of nice this year. Any other comments on the non-motorized? Those members of the council that reviewed them, any other comments anybody'd like to make before we move to the approvals?
This is Brody. I have a question.
Go ahead.
It's the Pleasant Grove City for $100,000 towards the purchase of a bathroom. Maybe the non-motorized people can help me understand how a bathroom costs $231,000, and help me understand. I'm kind of a small town guy, so I have a hard time comprehending how a bathroom can cost more than my house, my truck, my ATV, and my vacation to Hawaii.
You want to start there, Chris?
Yeah, I definitely will. And Brody, I also want to iterate that did cause some attention from me, but keep in mind, this is a CXT prefabricated restroom that comes with water and electricity and sewer. And so that is their price quote is roughly right around, I believe, $180,000 for that restroom facility. Is a two stall, 2-use area, and with delivery and that fabrication and those amenities associated with that, that's why you're seeing the restroom at that particular price.
Maybe we can ask Cheryl or Fred, who's had experience with bathrooms on the Paiute Trail, if bathrooms can be purchased cheaper.
I mean, bathrooms can be purchased cheaper if you're going to go at the Vault CXT, but this trailhead is located right along the Wasatch Front. It receives an extreme amount of use. And so for the city to be able to keep the maintenance and the cleanliness standards with the amount of use it gets, we all agreed that it made sense for this to be a bathroom that actually had water and had that option. So yes, you can do CXT toilets that are just the Vault toilets, but being along the front and in a watershed, it wasn't necessarily appropriate for this setting.
And what's the difference between stick built and prefab that's delivered on a truck, price wise?
So I'll jump in here on that, Brody. So a single hole CXT off of state contract is roughly about $25,000. If you go with a double CXT, it's approximately $45,000. But keep in mind that does not include the water, the sewer, or the electricity. And so you got a water heater in there. You got some additional amenities that normally is not part of that vault CXT toilet. And
No,
so
I'm talking about if you were to stick build one that has plumbing, heating, air conditioning, whatever, what would be the cost difference between stick build and prefab delivered?
Right now, at the cost of lumber, it would probably be way more expensive if you could even find a contractor that would come build it.
So I can jump in there, Brody, and answer that. There's one up actually SR 14 that's directly east of Cedar City that was funded with, I believe, the Southwest Friends Animal Society that the non-motorized funded approximately 4 to 5 years ago. It's there along the south side of SR 14. And if memory serves right, that stick-built building, that stick-built restroom was right around $195,000.
All right, well, that's good to know. Thank you for that information.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you, Brody. Any other questions on any of these applications on motorized or non-motorized? Okay, hearing none, let's move to the next item on our agenda, which is actually review approval of the motorized and non-motorized. I think is that a joint motion, Chris, where we actually approve the overall combined fund?
Yes, it would be. So we would need, that motion to come collectively from the group in general.
So once again, if you make a motion or a second, just please start with your name so we can keep that for the record and the recording. And I would request motions of approval for the motorized and non-motorized grant recommendations.
This is Brody. I motion that we approve all of it.
Thank you, Brody.
This is Sarah, and I'll second that.
Thank you, Sarah. I have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments before we vote? Hearing none, I will turn it over for roll call.
All right. Mike,
Yes.
Ron,
Yes.
Tyson,
Yes.
Brody,
Yes.
Scott,
Yes.
Sarah,
Yes.
Beverly,
Yes.
Cheryl,
Yes.
and Tommy.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you. I hear no opposition, so I'll have that as a passed motion to approve those and send those on. Chris and his team will take care of that process. Chris, will there need to be any additional steps in that forwarding process for members of the combined councils?
No additional steps are necessary from the combined advisory council members. Just to explain the process, from here, we'll get the meeting minutes presented and ready to be sent back to Washington, D.C. to the Federal Highway Director over recreational trails. We hope to get that sent to him by the end of this week. And then the recommendations will then be provided to the Utah Department of Transportation Commission for their meeting to be held on June 25th, in which we'll present these recommendations based upon the two council members.
Thank you. Hearing no other issues on that, unless people have any other comments, I would accept a motion to adjourn. Come on, Scott. I know that's you. Scott Wheeler, come on.
Let's adjourn.
I would like to have a longer meeting. This isn't long enough. We gotta be here for a few hours. Come on. There's gotta be something else we can talk about.
I know
This
you
is
got
Tommy
places to
George,
go.
and I would make the motion to adjourn.
Thank you. No second needed on adjournment. So once again, thank you, everyone. Thanks for your service and taking a little extra time tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Mike.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.